Hey everyone, this is Anthony with Courage and Grow, and I'm just now, I just turned this recording on and I realized I look like the straightest queer person ever. Between my glasses and then my Tiger's hat and my Michigan sweater, I don't even know. This is what I woke up today doing, and I was like, I'm gonna record this video, and here we are. Anyway, so I wanted to take a minute. This is going to be, hey, look, it's my kitten. He just walked by his down there. His name is Louis. Anyway, I wanted to take a minute to share this exercise with you, and it's something I really haven't done before. I'm kind of making this up as I go, but what the goal is to come up with take the core values that you've identified. And if you haven't identified them, I have a great article on how to identify them, which I'm going to pull up as part of the video. But to take those core values that you've identified and extrapolate them out into some kind of useful adjectives for your business that you can use when you're writing copy, when you're writing emails, when you're putting together a website, anything that helps you to bring more personality to those, to those things. So, as I said, this is a completely organic thing. I haven't done this for myself. I'm kind of, it's a brand new exercise for me. And so I figured I'd share with you. So I'm going to, make use of I've got a little button here that I can use to pause and start the video. And that way you don't have to sit and watch me do all of the things, but I wanted to give you a sense of the technique I'm going to use, which is mind mapping, and then also how I'm going to use this kind of going forward. So let me flip you into, I got to move this thing off my screen real fast before I flip you into my computer. And there we go. And so a couple things. Let's first take a look at this article. So I'm definitely going to share, or I'll link to this article in the description. And you can see here, it's courageandgrow.com/business-core-values, but it'll be in the description. And this is an article that I wrote. I used to host a podcast, and that's why I have this fancy schmancy microphone. But I used to host a podcast, and I had a friend on my show, and he shared this exercise with me on identifying your core values. And it's a phenomenal exercise, and it'll help you kind of mash all these values down that your business could potentially be and come up with a list. Now, this thing calls for 5, but in my case, I landed on 4: authenticity, courage, growth, and love. Those are the 4 that I want to kind of embody everything that my business does, and I want to extrapolate from those things. So that's where this exercise comes in terms of kind of getting some adjectives out of this. One of the ones that I know that I'd like to kind of be a part of my brand is wit, humor, and then also sassy. Like, those are things that come to my mind that I could draw specifically from courage and then underneath. So let's see how this is going to work in terms of an exercise. Let me actually smush this on the screen. So I know that I'm kind of down here in the corner and it's blocking a little teeny bit. So I hope I don't inadvertently cover anything up. Let's see how small I can. That's the smallest. Okay. So let me just hang that off the edge because you can see that here. Okay. I think I've got everything that I need on the screen. Let's see here. Yep. Perfect. Okay. You can see everything. And just in case you're curious, I know that whenever I see people doing fancy stuff like displaying handwriting things like this on a computer, I'm always curious how they do it. So just incidentally, I am using my Samsung Galaxy tablet on my desk, and it's just flipping out because I'm rotating it. And I've got the S Pen that comes with it. And then I'm using a free tool called Let's View to display it on the screen. So that's how I've got this up here. And then this application is just OneNote, and it's free. So yeah, that's how I'm doing this. And I'm going to try to get the microphone. It's going to block my face a little bit, but y'all aren't really looking at me at the moment. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a technique called mind mapping. And if you haven't used mind mapping before, it's a phenomenally simple but also phenomenally powerful tool. So instead of a kind of linear note method, whoops, I'm just knocking things over on my desk. It's all good. instead of a linear note-taking method, right? So if I were coming here and I was handwriting notes as somebody was talking and giving me notes, let's say the topic was, I don't know, how to shop for groceries. Okay. And they're telling me about, like, you pick up a cart out of the parking lot and you wheel the cart inside and you do this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm taking these notes. And then they say, I forgot to tell you about when you're in the parking lot, if ever you see a shopping cart that's laying around that nobody put back, that person's a jerk. For real. Just a little aside there. But you might want to put it back in the thing if it's blocking a parking space kind of thing. You don't want it to hit a car. So you're down here writing and they're like, oh, I need to put this back and it's in here and I can't. And it's the structure gets in the way sometimes of getting stuff out of your head. So that is to say, we're going to instead use a technique called mind mapping. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here into some blank space so I have some room on all sides to work. This is one of the huge benefits of doing this on a tablet because I can move around. But I'm going to put in the middle here core values. And okay, just undo that. I hit the little button on my stylus. It happens when you're doing this. And I'm going to put a circle around it. And then what you do is you kind of just, again, you extrapolate. You take from the center and you draw the ideas out and you connect them. But the big thing here is to let your mind think. Things don't have to be perfect. The structure is of such little importance. This actually helps get out of your way. And it just... The key is to allow your mind to think the way it wants to think. If it jumps off on something, go with it because it might help you come back to something that makes sense for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start branching, and I have 4, so I'll just go on the 4 sides. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put brackets around these just to help the core values stand out. You'll see this is just, it'll help you kind of differentiate them from everything else. I'm going to, let me do all 4 like this, and then I'm not going to make you sit through. I got to move that pen so I stop erasing things by accident. So I'll put the 4 on here, and the next one is growth. And the final one is love. Okay. And the spaces that I put them in is irrelevant. It does not matter. They are just going where I wrote them. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start drawing off of them. You'll see as I did the exercise, some of the values that were remaining in my top 10 fit underneath some others. And so I'm just going to branch off of those and write them in. But I'm not going to make you sit and watch me write all those in. So I'm going to pause the video really briefly and I'm going to jot those down real fast. I'll be right back. Okay, I've got them all written in, and let me tell you, this is accidentally the neatest mind map I've ever drawn. Like, it is never this clean looking, never. So don't feel like this happens. They're usually a giant mess, and it will probably be as I continue to draw out from it. So I've written all of the values out, and then what I want to start doing is just start as my mind works. I'm going to start down here with the courage branch, because as I was writing, I know that along with perhaps flair, I'm going to write sass, right? I like that element, that like little bit of edge. Oh, there's another one. Perhaps edge, right? And just start drawing on these. And then if something comes up from edge or sass, it can, right? I might add now from courage, queerness. It's a word. Oops. It's the reason that keeps happening is because the way I have my hand positioned on the pen. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a button right here, and I keep bumping it with my thumb. That's one of the only things, is that and like sitting your hand on the screen that gets annoying with writing on a tablet. Otherwise, it works very, very well. So I'm going to start extrapolating from these core values. And I know that queerness is important to me, and so I'd like to start thinking about that. Rainbow is big for me. And pride. And I would say also inclusion. So you're kind of reversing the values exercise, but you're trying to come up with less values perhaps and more descriptors. So, flair is good, sass is good. I know that I mentioned wit. Okay, this is good. Right now, I want to put wit on here, but I don't know where it belongs. Okay, this is the last kind of structural piece of a mind map that I kind of invented myself, and it's very, very helpful. Right now, I don't know where to put wit. It doesn't stand out to me where it should go. Perhaps under flair it could, but if ever there's a situation that you get into where you're mind mapping and there's the slightest bit of friction about, I don't know where to put this, here's what I do. I come off to the side, I put RT in a line. RT stands for random thoughts, and I put wit. So that way it lives on here, and then if later maybe I decide it goes under flair, okay, that's fine. So what I'll do is I'll either come up here and I'll just cross it off, or I'll put like a bullet symbol for like it was moved. It's on the map now. And I just keep things as thoughts occur. Like even if I have a thought that's like, oh, I need to buy milk, put it there, because then when I'm done with the exercise, I can then move it off. Random thoughts, anything. This gives you the flexibility to put things, to never stop using your mind the way it's, kind of like water. It just flows, and it will allow you to put things anywhere at any time. And there's always a place for everything. 100% of the things that come to your mind have a place on your mind map when you include this random thoughts thing. So what I'm going to do now is, again, I'm going to pause this and I'm going to start branching off of these and trying to source some more from my mind, some more adjectives that make sense, that I like to kind of bring across in my copy, in my marketing in general, email, copy, web, all those things. So I'm going to pause the video and I will be back very shortly. Okay, I'm back, and let me just walk you through. I think I could go a little more, but I wanted to make sure that I had a minute to explain this to you and then kind of like send you off on your way. So as you can see, I can zoom out, and this got, I'd say, quite a bit bigger. And I don't even have everything on the screen at the moment. So let me point out a few things. As I work, things inevitably will connect with each other. See, real? This is one right here. I don't know if you heard that loud thud, but hey, I have neighbors. We all have neighbors, and they exist, and I exist in the real world, and so it doesn't have to be perfect. So we'll talk about that in a second. But you'll see that things connect, and I'm finding connections across different branches. And so the way I represent that is I do a dotted line that represents connection. So the big one was actually real, and I was thinking, okay, in order to be real, right, I'm an imperfect, flawed, and genuine. Those are some things that I drew off of real. And I thought, okay, well, in order to be real and to have flaws, one has to be committed to growing and learning from those flaws. So I actually connected this to growth and to learning via a dotted line. And that's the way that I got it out of my head. Coming down to the random thoughts, I identified a couple others, tasteful, modern, and helpful, that really didn't seem to belong. I mean, I suppose I could nest helpful. See, this is exactly the problem right here. As soon as I start doing that, I suppose it could go, stop, just put it in random thoughts, let it be, and then move on. Don't spend too much time worrying about it. So I connected things that way. You can see the whole kind of map. You can take a look at that. But the ones that stood out to me as being able to be converted to adjectives for the business, for the brand, I highlighted in yellow. And I honestly could highlight one more because I ended up using it. But yeah, what I did is with the ones that I identified in yellow that stood out to me as I worked, I came over here and I put my brand is, and then finished the sentence with those. My brand is witty. My brand is joyful. My brand is enthusiastic. My brand is real. My brand is colorful, modern, and tasteful. And, I wrote them this way because I was like, well, colorful could definitely go awry. So could modern, and so could tasteful. But all three of them together, I think, definitely represent my brand. My brand is sassy. And so I don't know. I have some hesitation with this one for some reason. It just doesn't feel like exactly the right word. So I got to workshop that a little bit. And then helpful. So now I have some clarity around what I want my brand to be. So as I'm writing copy, as I'm designing my website, I can say, all right, does this fit my benchmark that this brand is colorful and modern and tasteful? So I can pull back up my website, and I would agree that this is pretty bloggish. I mean, I do have some pops of color here and there, but like if you come to the About page, again, colorful, yes. Modern, yes. Tasteful, yes. I agree that this fits those benchmarks. And so it's like this gives me kind of a standard against which I can benchmark my brand. And this brings my values, which are kind of high-minded, love, growth, courage, and authenticity, into more of a real space, right? So I can say, and perhaps I need to, as I'm looking at this, I have no yellow coming off of growth, right? So perhaps maybe success-based. I need to maybe do some more work in this area, because right now I don't have anything representing that area, or authenticity for that matter. So I need to probably make sure that all of my values are represented in some more real adjective-y words. So that's this exercise on identifying adjectives for your business, for your brand. Let me know what you think. If you have any extrapolating thoughts on this exercise, anything that I could use to improve it, I would greatly appreciate that. What you end up identifying as your adjectives for your brand, I would love to know what you settle on. And if you have, you could drop it in the comments. I would love to have a conversation with you there. I'm sitting here talking and doing nothing, so I could probably bring myself back up. So let's just do that, shall we? Let's come back. Hello. So yeah, if you have any thoughts, I would love to know what they are. And if you have any any ways to improve the exercise, I would also love to know that. Or if you have, the adjectives that you've identified, all in the comments. For the blog post for this, you can always reply to the email if you got this in an email. But yeah, let's get the conversation going and talk about how to make this a really robust exercise. I think it's pretty good for something that's off the top of my head this morning that I started at 6 a.m. So I hope that you found this useful, and I would love to hear from you. And I will talk to you very soon. Bye for now.